Yo, before the show, I'd like to just say if you could like and share the podcast. I am a one-man show and I really do appreciate both the feedback and the support that you give. As a matter of fact, down in the comments, you can actually reach me directly if you ever want to share a message or get featured on the show. All right, let's get into the episode.
Are you still talking about football?
Yeah, about NFC North.
Then let's talk football.
Welcome back, everybody. This is Headed North, an NFC North podcast, and I'm your host, D-Tron. And it feels like it has been a long week because I have been waiting to get on this show and talk about the Detroit Lions. My goodness, it's been an even longer week for the Dallas Cowboys fans who got smacked on Sunday by the Detroit Lions. We also had no action from the Minnesota Vikings because they were on a bye. The Packers got a chance to take on the Arizona Cardinals, and we knew how that game was going to turn out before it even happened. And the Bears took on the Jaguars in London and handed out some L's with those biscuits and crackers or whatever they have over there in London. Whatever it was, the Bears gave it out along with L's to the Jaguars. So we're going to talk about all that and a little bit more on today's episode of Headed North Podcast. But before we do that, we're going to kick it over to our sponsor. Our sponsor for the week is offrackshop.com. Offrackshop.com is an online thrift store. They sell men and women's clothing, shoes, accessories, and more. So if you haven't already, check out the link in the description to get a discount on your next purchase at offrackshop.com. All right, without further delay, let me recap you on the games that were, starting with the Detroit Lions taking on the Dallas Cowboys. Going into that game, who knew that it was going to turn out the way that it did? No one, probably. But I told you the Lions would win. It felt like a perfect spot for them to get a W with the whole revenge angle going on. But geez, oh Pete, I actually went to the game, had a chance to see it live, and it was ugly. The Cowboys were stalling out, couldn't get anything going. The defense couldn't get pressure on the Lions, and the Lions just looked like a superior team. 47-9 kind of superior. Not letting the Cowboys score a single touchdown kind of superior. It was a tough game to watch for Cowboys fans. Just yikes. Let's talk about them by the numbers, though. 184 yards rushing for the Detroit Lions versus the Cowboys' 53 rushing yards. That's 3 times that amount. 492 for total yards for the Lions, 251 total yards for Dallas. 27 first downs for the Lions, 16 for Dallas. Again, just a really poor showing by the Cowboys. Goff was 18 for 25, 315, 3 passing touchdowns. He was sacked twice but threw no picks and had a QBR of 153. Gibbs and Montgomery both rushed the ball 12 times. Montgomery finished with 80 yards and 2 touchdowns, and Gibbs got 63 yards. The top 3 targets all scored for the Lions. So you had Laporta get a score, Williams get a score, and Amon-Ra also got a score. Again, a tough day for Cowboys fans, but an awesome showing for the Detroit Lions. And now we just got to hope that the Lions don't have a bit of a big game hangover as they go to take on the Minnesota Vikings in Minnesota. So you got a 4-1 Lions team taking on a 5-0 undefeated Vikings team coming off of a bye. I think a big part of this game is going to be something that I didn't mention about the Cowboys game in Dallas. It's the major injury to Aiden Hutchinson. That thing was gruesome, and the replays make it look even worse. And without Aiden, the defensive line definitely takes a significant hit. Not that there aren't other folks who balled on that defensive line, but you know he was the engine. And so having Aiden Hutchinson down and potentially being without Carlton Davis, those could be impacts for the Detroit Lions. And on the other side of the ball, Minnesota Vikings, even though they're coming off of a bye week, they're still going to be without Aaron Jones, and apparently they're going to be without Blake Cashman as well. So this could also play a role in their ability to get their offense in sync. Aaron Jones has been a huge part of what Minnesota has done so far this year, so it's going to be a tough role for them as well. The Lions are not the favorite in this game, as you would imagine coming against a team that hasn't lost a game yet. I don't think that's going to matter when these two meet. I got the Lions winning this game, but I'll cover that in spreading the field here in a little bit. But just know Minnesota Vikings and Lions are going to take on each other, and this is certainly the game of the week. Even if it's not in a primetime spot, this is the game that everybody will be watching because there's been powerhouse action coming out of NFC North, and these two are right at the top of that action.
Speaking of being at the top of your game, here's a message from our sponsor, Alpha Progression.
Attention, NFC North fans. Whether you're pushing yourself in the gym or training to dominate on game day, Alpha Progression is here to elevate your performance. This no BS, science-backed app is designed by serious lifters to help you maximize muscle growth and enhance your endurance. With tailored plans, real-time coaching, and progression tracking, you'll be ready to take strength to the next level, just like the pros. And this is not just another fitness app. Twice named Apple's App of the Day, it's top rated and quickly gaining fans worldwide. So head to alphaprogression.com/headed north for 20% off your first payment, and you get 2 weeks free. Again, that's alphaprogression.com/headed north for 20% off your first payment and 2 weeks free.
All right, we're going to next kick it over to the Packers versus the Cardinals. Green Bay lit the Cardinals up. We knew that coming into this game, that Green Bay was going to light the Cardinals up. They don't have Marvin Harrison Jr., wasn't going to have much of an opportunity to beat Green Bay. It just wasn't going to happen. And so Green Bay put up 34 to the Cardinals 14 points. They won the time of possession battle. They won the first down battle. Third down conversions were better. They're better at rushing and passing. Basically, in all levels of the game, they were better than them. Green Bay just flat out beat them. The stats can tell a different story, though. If you look at them, Murray and Love both completed 22 of 32 passing attempts for more than 200 yards each. But Jordan Love put 4 touchdowns with that. And Kyler Murray only was able to get 1 touchdown through the air with those same numbers. So it doesn't really matter the stat line necessarily unless you're getting the ball in the end zone. And speaking of getting the ball in the end zone, Reed got in there. Watson finally got in there. Well, it's been a while, or it felt like it's been a while for Watson to get a score. And then Dobbs got 2 scores in this game. Green Bay was just too much, and we knew it. They knew it. So the game worked out the way the game was supposed to work out. But this upcoming week, Green Bay is taking on the Texans. The Houston Texans. The 5-1 Houston Texans. This is probably one of the best defenses that Green Bay has faced all year. The Texans rank pretty highly in yards, total yards given up. They're 4th in total yards given up. And then they're also ranked 4th in the league in passing yards given up. The Texans defense is stingy. Now, what they are missing on the offensive side of the ball is why I've got Green Bay being able to win this game. And that's Nico Collins. I think Stephon Diggs is a major pickup for them, for the Texans, that is. But I don't know that he is the same Stephon Diggs of yesteryear who could completely take over this game. And I think they need the firepower that they get from Nico Collins. I do really like CJ Stroud, and I'm having a hard time picking against the Texans here because they do look like a well-oiled team. But I think missing that firepower and Green Bay really rolling right now, I think gives them the advantage. So I'll tell you about how I pick for this game, but just know that Green Bay is going to have one thing working in their favor. They're in Lambeau, and playing outside in Lambeau is just different, and Green Bay seems to turn it on when they're at home. That's what I'm expecting to happen this week when they take on the Houston Texans. And last but certainly not least, the Chicago Bears. So the Chicago Bears went into the game in London against the Jaguars, missing Tyreek Stevenson and Jaquan Brisker, and thought that could be big. The defense was ranked 8th in total yards and, 3rd and third down conversions. A lot of stuff. None of that stuff mattered when the game got going because Chicago came to London to hand out L's. That's all they were there to do. It didn't matter all about the stats and how the defense is lined up and the Jaguars being 1-4 and finally getting their first win the week prior. None of it mattered. Cole Kmet got 2 touchdowns. Keenan Allen got 2 touchdowns. DeAndre Swift picked up a touchdown in the end. Caleb completed 23 of 29 for 226, 4 touchdowns and only 1 pick. He hit 7 different receivers during this game. The defense got 3 sacks, a pick, fumble recovery. They were all on top of this Jaguar team in London, handing out L's. And so it is really nice to see the Chicago Bears going into a bye week, right? This week they got a bye. They are 4-2, right in the mix in the NFC North, which is lining up to be one of the tougher divisions in the league. Well, not lining up to be, is one of the toughest divisions in the league if you're looking at complete records. This division is rolling, and the Chicago Bears are going to come back from their bye week rested to take on the Commanders. So that should be a really cool matchup between the 1 and the 2 quarterbacks taken in this past draft, with Caleb and Jaden Daniels squaring off. So that's going to be a really cool game, but we got to wait another week because Chicago Bears are on a bye week this week. All right, I hope you all listened to the show last week, because it was finally time to go 3 for 3 on our picks with spreading the field and make you a little bit of money in the process if you follow my lead. So to recap you, we went 50% in week 2, 25% in week 3, 33% in week 4, 33% in week 5, then 100% in week 6. So I told you to take the Chicago Bears -1 in London against the Jaguars, and they did that and some. I told you to take Green Bay -4.5 because I thought even though Arizona was coming off of a scrappy win against the 49ers, Green Bay was going to not overlook this Arizona team, and that's exactly what happened. They came out and laid a whooping on them. And then I told you to take the Lions -3 because this was a revenge game, and they were going to say, he reported we should have won that game. We're definitely going to win this game. So I thought the Lions could come into Dallas and get a win by 7. They got a win by like 40. And they didn't let Dallas score a touchdown, by the way. That's a side note, though. All right. So going into week 7, here's my pick. So we're only going to have 2 picks because we have a team on bye week, which is the Chicago Bears. I've got the Green Bay Packers have a game, and then the Lions and the Vikings are going to take on each other. So 2 picks this week. I'm telling you, take the Lions +1.5, and I would take the Lions all the way back to -3 because I think they win this game, even though the Vikings are undefeated and their record shows that they're the better team. I don't believe that to be the case, and the Lions are going to go into Minnesota and show them that. So take the Lions +1.5, but I think you could get better odds or better payout if you back it up to -3 or even -2.5 if you feel like the Lions can win it by a field goal. But take them for the win. And take Green Bay -2.5 because I don't trust the Texans on the road without their number 1 target in Nico to be able to go in and win confidently here against the Green Bay Packers. So I think Jordan Love and crew get the win, and they get it by more than 3, leaving you with the Lions +1.5 and Green Bay -2.5 if you can get those lines there. All right, that is the show for the day. I want to say thank you for listening. If you're still here, want to give a shout out to our newest sponsor from this week's show, Alpha Progression. Definitely check out the link that we have at alphaprogression.com/headed north. And if you come back next week, which I hope you do, make sure you've got your bags packed because we are headed north. I'm D-Tron. Peace.
Are you still talking about football?
Yeah, football, NFC North.
Then let's talk football.